From Tobacco Republic in Loomis, California, the Loomis Cigar Cartel presents Beyond the Humidor, a cigar podcast for the rest of us. Hey everybody, welcome to the show. Scott Robinson with you for another edition of Beyond the Humidor. I would say happy and well, but if I went through my week, I think you'd think different. How you guys doing, Greg?
It's been a long work week for me, a long stretch, but it's a good night. You know, I'm really looking forward to the story, the fantastic story we've got for the audience today, and a really neat human being. So I'm looking forward to that.
Absolutely. How you doing there, Larry?
I'm doing good, man. Got a nice cigar, and I as well am looking really interested in hearing this guy's tale.
Oh yeah,
and we got kind of a preview of it from a couple of people, and it's going to be really cool to hear it firsthand.
Oh yeah,
so, for sure.
All right. Hey, Camera Gorilla, what's going on?
Camera Gorilla's doing good. It's been a pretty blah week, but it's whatever.
You want to trade?
No, I'm good. I'm good with average. I'm good with normal.
Average is good. So I'm not going to even delay. I'm going to bring our guest aboard. This gentleman runs the Racketeer and owns the Racketeer Cigar Lounge in Idaho. And I'm going to bring him straight aboard here. We're going to hear a fantastic story on this show. So without further ado, let me introduce Paul Banducci of the Racketeer. Hey there, Paul.
Fellas.
How you doing, my friend?
Not too shabby. It sounds like you guys are doing okay, but I've had a long week.
Oh, yeah.
It's been a rough one.
That's for sure.
So what's the good word?
Oh, man. Hey, that's for you to tell us, man. We ran into Kevin Killian over at PCA this year, and, you know, we were talking, and he presented the cigar that changed my life.
Which cigar was that?
Oh, the Christoph Figurado.
The Cameroon Figurado?
Oh,
Yes.
yeah. Yeah, I smoked that sucker to the nub where it was burning my fingers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's
a good one.
Yeah, that one was amazing. As a matter of fact, let's just go around the room, and I'm going to start with our guest. Are you smoking something tonight, Paul?
I'm afraid I'm not. I'm getting over a little some crud I'm trying to bust out of my system. So no smoking for me tonight, I'm afraid. Sorry, fellas.
Oh, that's all right. That's all right. I'm just going to go around the room real quick. Hey, Larry, what are you smoking tonight?
I've got Oscar's Habano 60. It's the kind of the offshoot, the follow-up to the Leaf by Oscar. And as I pull my phone up here so I can read all this stuff, it's Honduran origin, Honduran Habano wrapper, Honduran binder, and a Honduran and Nicaraguan filler. So it is a 60 ring gauge. It's a little bit bigger cigar, which is typically my go-to. Pretty peppery and very earthy draw on it, but really full-bodied cigar. Very nice. This is a great after-dinner smoke. If you want to just, you know, sit down, you got, you know, a wine or, you know, a whiskey, you know, after dinner. This is a great stick, and I try to do one of these probably once a week.
Well, I decided to go fancy in celebration of the night because we've been looking really forward to this show. So I decided to go into the Davidoff de Genève closet, and I got myself a Davidoff Nicaraguan.
You are celebrating.
Oh, yes. This is the box press Nicaraguan. It's just a really versatile, clean smoke. Everything you could expect from the Nicaraguan leaf made by the good folks at Davidoff de Genève. Greg, what do you
I too decided to celebrate a little bit. I went to when we talk Davidoff, you know, it's very hard to say go-to cigar because of the cost out here in Cali. But I've got the Davidoff Winston Churchill Late Hour, beautiful cigar. It's an Ecuadorian Habano wrapper. It is Maduro. It is stout. It has a San Andreas binder and a Dominican and Nicaraguan filler. It's a beautiful, you know, if you like the smooth creaminess of the regular Davidoff Churchill in Connecticut, the Maduro is a beautiful cigar, much like Larry's for after a meal. It's, you know, one of my go-tos in the Davidoff line.
Outstanding. And last but not least, we got to ask the gorilla what he's smoking.
The gorilla is smoking Rocky Patel's 1999 Connecticut. This was one that when I started smoking a few years ago, this was the first cigar I kind of latched to and was my everyday smoke until I got comfortable smoking other stuff. This is probably the first one I've had in about 10 months. So it'll be interesting to see if my palate has changed or if I like it more or like it less. So yeah, so far so good.
Yep. And today's alcohol selection is thanks to Greg.
My pleasure.
What are we drinking?
We are drinking an Ardbeg 10-year. It's an Islay, so it's a nice peated Scotch. It's unfortunately not in my wheelhouse because I prefer unpeated, but for you two gentlemen, it's exactly something that I think will pair well with that Davidoff and probably with your Oscar as well.
Yeah, it's done real well with the Oscar so far. I've been real happy.
Well, I have a criticism, not of the Ardbeg or the Davidoff. I think the problem is when you take a peaty Scotch and put it with a, really, how would we say, it's not really a one-trick pony, but Nicaraguan is usually just a consistent taste and is a very mellow leaf, so it kind of like competes with the cigar.
Yeah.
Still, it's enjoyable and nothing I'd rather do than sit back and drink alcohol and smoke cigars, so I'm not quite complaining.
Me neither.
So I want to get into this here, Paul. We usually ask our guests this question. What's the cigar that popped your cherry? Your first cigar, do you remember?
It was a Padron 5000. I was, let's see, how old was I? 14 years old, I think.
Damn.
My uncle was a cigar guy, and that was back in the day, too, when you could get a box of Padron 5000s for $100, Wow. It's a long time ago. So he was a Padron guy, and I spent a lot of time out at his property as a kid, both working and playing. And, he always had a cigar in his mouth, and I thought it looked fantastic. I thought it smelled great, and I'd always inquire about it. And then I believe it was either my 14th or my 15th birthday, which I always celebrate out at his place with the family. He hands me a Padron 5000, Maduro. I'll only smoke the Maduros for Padron. We'll get into that one later. But and he goes, "Here, kid, try this on for size." And my mom and my dad are there, and everybody's there, and everybody thought, it'd be a good joke, right? I'd turn green, and that'd be the end of that. But the joke was on them. I smoked it down to the nub, and it was it ignited a passion.
Outstanding. So let's just get into how long you've been into the cigar. How long have you been in the cigar industry? How did you start out?
So on which side of the counter, I guess, would be the question. I'm assuming you're wondering on as a retailer.
Let's start from the beginnings, because, that's always an interesting story too. Your beginnings, before you got behind the counter. So
it was love at first puff. And when I get into something, I'm an enthusiast. Typically, I like to take it seriously. I was that kid who took notes. I had a little notebook. I kept all the bands of everything I smoked, took notes on all of it, and built up a bit of a catalog of what I liked and what I didn't and why. And let's see, so 2014 is when I actually took over the Bulldog and turned it into mine. So, and if I was 14, that would be 2012. So for 12 years in between 2002 and 2014, I was a consumer and an enthusiast. And then in 2014, I had an opportunity to take over a shop called the Bulldog Pipe and Cigar in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. That was my shop as a customer for many years. I really liked that place. It was very gentlemanly. But the older fellow who owned it, he was ready to retire, and I bought him out and took it on. And then it was just a shop in 2014 when I took over. And then in 2015, I got a lounge built next door. And we were actually in a mall. And I convinced the mall to let me build a cigar lounge in there and a bar. So that was cool. So if you want to count from from cigar number one, 2002. So we're talking 20 years. If you want to count from when I got on the other side of the counter, we'd be going on almost 9 years. As of January 2014, I'll be 9 years in the biz.
Wow.
That's awesome. All right, so let's just get into the meat of this sandwich, because, the story that Kevin told us about what went down at the lounge, if you can discuss it, tell us about that story, man, because we're sitting there just like our minds were blown as Kevin was telling us the story. We're like, man, we got to get this cat on. This is amazing.
Yeah, no one can say that. No one can say we haven't paid our dues and we haven't earned the right to be in business. That's for sure. As we all know, the government is not our friend. No matter where you are, the government is not your friend. But California is a special kind of stupid, but Idaho's not far behind it, surprisingly. it's a red state, but North Idaho is more libertarian, but South Idaho is very, very Mormon, and a lot of the laws on the books reflect that. There are a lot of very archaic tobacco and liquor laws from the 30s that are still on the books that are enforced sparingly, but they will enforce them when it suits their purpose. I'm a pretty hardcore libertarian. I don't like being told what to do. Don't hurt people and don't take their stuff. That's my philosophy.
Amen, brother.
So, you make some friends, especially in our industry. A lot of us tend to feel the same way, but you make a lot of enemies within the establishment. So I'm pretty outspoken against the establishment around here. And I became a really easy target, actually. So I guess I'll try to keep this as cliff notes as I can. When I started the Bulldog, we got a beer and wine license. We had a bar and a cigar lounge. Or excuse me, let me rephrase. When I started the Bulldog Lounge, because I bought the shop, had a retail shop for about a year, spent about a year building it back up, making it a viable concern, and then it was like, I'm going to take a swing and do a lounge. I always wanted to do a lounge. So then we built a bar and had a cigar lounge. Had to get a beer and wine license for that, but those are different than liquor licenses in the state of Idaho. Those are two separate things. I also got cigar lockers, as most places tend to have, right? It's a pretty standard thing, cigar lockers for members. Well, one of the ways we tried to get around, we thought we were, at worst, we thought we were in gray area. We didn't think we were doing anything illegal. But one of the ways we tried to get around not having a liquor license, because you know how it goes.
Oh, yeah.
Like you guys are drinking and smoking scotch, or smoking and drinking scotch. Well, a lot of my patrons want to do that too. So we said, hey, you throw it in your locker, and I won't sell it. I won't serve it. I won't touch it. For all I know, you got apple juice in there, and I'll give you a glass. I'll give you ice, and you can self-serve and store it in your locker. And we thought we were, on the correct side of the law for that. Well, that was strike one against us, come to find out. Strike two was a few of my friends and I would like to have a little home poker game in the lounge every other month for $20, like small stakes. It's mainly just to get together and have a good time. It's less about the money and more about the camaraderie. Because what's more badass than smoking, drinking, and playing cards together in the same space? It's great. Well, gambling is very much illegal in the state of Idaho, even a home game, apparently. If one red cent enters the middle of the table, whether it's at your house or in a public place or a private club, it doesn't matter. You're a misdemeanor automatically. If you host, you're a felon.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
Unbeknownst to us, obviously, we're thinking we're not hurting anybody, and we keep things pretty quiet, as we like to do. Don't bother nobody. Unfortunately, a competitor of mine, I didn't really consider him a competitor. He did, apparently. He sent an email to Idaho State Police and told them that we were running a gambling ring and illegally selling liquor. So
gee.
began an investigation on us, an undercover investigation for 11 months. So from April of 2016 to March of 2017, they infiltrated our place. They had people pose as members and pay cash and come and be members and come hang out. And they were wired up with video and audio. And like the shit you see in the movies, I kid you not, it's pretty crazy stuff when you think about it. Yeah. So they did that for 11 months. And then when they decided they had enough, they actually raided the lounge in March of 2017. 6 agents at each entry and exit way, badges swinging, guns drawn, just like you see in the movies, a full raid. Get on the ground, don't move, we'll fucking shoot you if you move, yada, 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 the whole thing.
Jesus.
Yeah, so, just a normal Tuesday for us. We're opening up, and as we open up the gate, 3 agents come through the front gate, guns drawn, and the whole bit. And we don't know why the hell or what the hell is going on, because this whole time we never suspected we were on the wrong side of any law. It sure would have been nice if they just, I don't know, send us a warning letter or, The funny thing is that the Idaho State Police office was, at that time where we were, it was literally half a mile away. So all they had to do was just get in their patrol car, drive down 5 minutes and go, hey, we've heard some things. We heard you've been doing this. Stop it. Don't do that. Here's $1,000 fine. Slap the wrist. And we'd be like, okay, we'll stop. No, they went full raid. Raided everybody's lockers. Couldn't, it was either that or they were going to break everything open. So that was fun. Took my point of sale system, took my safe, took my registers, took my iPads, my laptops, my phone. Again, all the shit you see in the movies. It was pretty incredible. Left us with basically nothing. Yeah, and they good cop, bad copped us, myself and my employee, put us in different rooms and basically told us we both were totally fucked if we didn't play ball. And the whole bit, like everything you see in the movies, it was pretty wild. So then they leave, and we don't hear anything for 3 years. Nothing. So statute of limitations. Oh, and for the record, the raid was executed on a search warrant on 6 counts. So you had 3 felonies and 3 misdemeanors, racketeering, money laundering, and profiteering, and those are felonies. And then you had running an illegal room, illegal alcohol sales, and illegal gambling. And those were the misdemeanors. So the statute of limitations on felonies is 5 years, which means they got 5 years to go after you, prosecute you. Statute of limitations on misdemeanors is 1. So they waited 3 years, and they let the statute of limitations run out on the misdemeanors. And all of a sudden, you guys are gonna love this. Week 1 of 2020. This was how my 2020 started. All of us had a pretty bad 2020. Mine takes the cake. I don't think there are that many people who get better than mine when it's all added up. Mine started with being served by the state of Idaho on 3 felony charges, 2 counts of racketeering and 1 count of money laundering by the state of Idaho. Yeah, so that was how 2020 started.
Yikes.
Each count carries a penalty of $500,000 in fines, asset forfeiture, so everything you own, they can take, everything that went through the business. And I'm a small business owner, so every dollar I make goes, comes in and out of the business.
Right.
And 10 years in prison. So we had that to fight beginning 2020.
Jesus. Oh, man. So
yeah, for the high crimes of letting my members store liquor in their locker and a $20 poker game with my friends.
Wow. Now, at a couple of cigar lounges I've been to, we've done the friendly poker games, and that was around the time when Hold'em was really big in the early 2000s. And from what I understand and what the law was, because, Texas Hold'em was a real big thing and people were running all sorts of stuff, but where you get in trouble is where money goes to the house. Otherwise, Correct. It's a friendly game where money's just changing hands at the table, but the house gets nothing. Then it's considered a friendly game, but then people are taking it to another level and giving money to the house for whatever. And that's when, the feds and the state started cracking down out here. I heard of one in New York that they busted up because they were calling it, it was basically illegal gambling, but to the point of racketeering and money laundering. Holy shit.
Yeah. Good times.
Remember who runs the state of Idaho.
Yeah.
So, say that again.
I said, remember who runs the state of Idaho. It's 1 county, and it's Ada County.
Yes. Yeah, we in North Idaho, we complain about that every day.
Oh, yeah, I believe it.
It's not ideal.
Oh, man.
There are 2 very different Idahos. That's why we refer to ourselves as North Idaho. We're not Northern Idaho. We are North Idaho. We are our own territory.
Sounds like state of Jefferson out here.
Yeah. If only.
Every time I see that come up, I cheer you guys on. I'm like, yeah, do it. Because if you guys can pull it off, then there ain't nobody who can't pull it off. And I'm like, North Idaho's next. We'll be on the block going, okay, we're next. Get us out of here. That'd be great.
Yeah, sadly, I don't think it's going to happen. It's like every time I see it, it's like, it's a nice dream, but it's probably not going to happen. Because, of course, in California, we're ran by, 2 counties or 2 cities specifically, Los Angeles and San Francisco.
Yep. And for good measure, sometimes Sacramento too, which is not exactly an improvement.
Yeah,
no, it's not.
Not quite. You got to get north of Sacramento if you want to feel some kind of freedom, and even that's hard.
Yeah.
So this is turned into a legal battle. I'm sure had to get attorney and the whole 9 yards on this, huh?
This was a very new experience for me.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, we had to hire a criminal defense attorney who actually, that's talk about a God thing. He's turned into a very good family friend. He's a good man. When we interviewed a number of different attorneys, I landed on him because in the interview he said something like, yeah, this, that, and the other, and I'm pretty much a libertarian. And I went, you're hired. Yeah, you're going to work. So, yeah, we got that to deal with, and we fight it for, oh, shoot, how long did we negotiate that shit? It was 8 months. 9 months, I think we finally settled it. And the plot thickened because I had put in for a liquor license 7 years prior, and it finally came up. And of course, it had to come up while I was fighting these charges. So I couldn't fill out the application and fully get the permit because I didn't know if I was going to have a business or, you know, be in prison.
Right.
So we had to let that sit on the back seat for a long while and fight this thing. And ultimately, after a lot of pain and gnashing of teeth and a lot of money out of my pocket, we were able to, you know, cut a deal. And I ended up pleading out to 5 misdemeanors, 2 counts of illegal gambling, 1 count of facilitating illegal gambling, disturbing the peace, and maintaining a public nuisance.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Oh,
I also had to do 10 days of sheriff's labor program and 10 days in Kootenai County Jail, and pay $5,000 restitution to Idaho State Police for to repay part of the investigation. Of course, $5,000 was getting off really easy. I mean, it sucked to cut that check. It really sucked to cut that check.
Yeah, but they got to be 250 grand
into
into prosecuting a $20 poker game.
Yeah, yeah. Well, here's where it gets even better. The state of Idaho spent over 160 grand on the whole thing when it was all said and done. Yeah.
What a waste of money.
Oh, dude, a waste of everything. Everybody's time, everybody's money, the whole bit. I mean, you know, it's your tax dollars at work. I mean, it's when people ask me why I'm a libertarian, I just point to this and I go, this is government in a nutshell. This is how they behave, and they don't care.
Yeah, that's pretty much me. I'm a conservative libertarian. I was a Republican once upon a time and got sick of that, and it's just like, nah, I'm more libertarian because, yeah, I just want to be left alone.
It's pretty simple, yeah.
Yeah, but that's just crazy. And the whole thing, I mean, it had to have been, and I don't need to tell you, it had to have been incredibly scary because you've got the power of the state who can basically take your money and your freedom away from you. And the little games that they play, it's like, oh, yeah, you know, your kids are going to be graduating from college by the time you get out, and you know you're in deep, and tell me about the money laundering, and you sold alcohol, didn't you? And now that kind of crazy crap.
Dude, I had to laugh when they read that stuff out, and I said, man, I know what those are. I know what racketeering is. I know what money laundering is. I said, but I'll tell you what, I don't really know how to do it. And if I did, you'd think I'd be sticking around here and you'd be able to catch me on it? It's like, you guys are crazy. You think I'd be driving a 2002 Subaru Legacy that's rusted from the inside out? Like, come on, man. I think you got the wrong man here.
So you I don't want to say you beat the charges because, you know, you didn't really, but you got out from under the, from the, the big spotlight. But what did that do to that lounge?
It's a good question. So interestingly enough, I mean, I would consider it a victory. That was one of those live to fight another day victories. I mean, initially I wanted to take it to court because I thought we had really good chances to beat it in court. I mean, it was pretty absurd charges.
Yeah.
But in the end, I opted to plead out, take my licks, but know that I could live to fight another day. And while I was going through all of this, I thought to myself, if I ever get another lounge up and running, I'm going to call it the Racketeer. And but I'm fast forwarding a little bit too much here. We survived all of that. Ultimately what killed us at the end of 2020, what killed the Bulldog, was the landlord. Yeah, we survived the COVID shutdowns. We survived the economic impact because our people were really good. They stood by us. They were loyal. I'm really grateful for my clients. They were really cool. So we survived all the COVID stuff. We lived to fight another day on the Idaho prosecution stuff. And we got to the end of it. And in October, the landlord, I didn't know this at the time, but they were under contract to sell the mall was under contract to sell the building to a big business developer here in the area. It's a sporting goods emporium, Black Sheep. And he was going to buy the mall. I didn't know this at the time, but one of the caveats for buying the mall was booting us out because he's a Mormon and he doesn't like alcohol and cigars. So in October, I was told you got 30 days to pack your shit and go. And that's ultimately what killed the Bulldog. We beat everything else, but we couldn't beat that.
Oh man!
So that was really painful. That was really hard. So what we did, we sold everything off, almost everything I could sell off. I sold off, paid off all my business debts, got out of it debt free for which I'm very grateful. And then took a month off and just decided to, do some soul searching. And after a month, I missed the lounge immensely. And I said, I have to do this again. I can't not do this. I want to take a swing. So I went to my wife and I said, hey, we have enough savings to get us through 6 months. And it's going to take us at least 6 months to get a new business up and running because we got to find the space. We got to fill out the liquor license app that was still sitting on my desk. Clock was ticking on that. We had till April to get it in, or we were going to be kicked off the line, and we were going to have to get back in line and wait another 10 years. I said, let's give it a try. Are you with me? And my wife said, do it. Let's do it. So we went. We found a space. It took us about 4 months. And I got the space. Let's see. We found it on the 8th, April 8th. We signed the lease on April 9th. And I got the liquor license in down to Boise on April 12th. And it was set to expire April 13th.
Wow.
So, I mean, if the big man upstairs, we're here for a reason, and he's the reason why. Like, so nothing scares me now. Nothing, like, there's nothing out there that scares me anymore because I know that we're supposed to be here and I'm supposed to be doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah, hell yeah. The one part of the story that, you know, kind of really, I mean, really saddens me is, you know, we talk a lot about the cigar community, and 99% of the cigar community looks out for each other. It's not, like you say, it's not about competitors. It's about, hey, if you got a lounge down the street, I want to see that cat successful. I want to see me successful. The pie's big enough for everybody.
I agree.
And for the fact for someone to literally snitch and send a letter to the state to try and shut you down, and not just shut you down, but ruin your life. It's like you just found that 1% of the cigar community that's just, I can't even find a word for it.
It was pretty disappointing.
Yeah.
It was really disappointing to see that when they gave us the binder of discovery paperwork, that they're like, okay, here's what we got on you. It's a big old binder this thick. And we open it up, and the very first page is a copy of the email this guy sent, and they didn't black out the email. They didn't black out the address.
Wow.
And I read this email, and I go, this sounds like a guy who's a competitor. No one else would talk like this.
Yeah.
And then we look up the email address, and sure enough, it was that guy. So, like, man, that's really disappointing.
That's a chicken shit move, man.
Yeah, big
I
time.
thought so.
Yeah.
So there's a new guy who's opened up a joint called Stogie's in Post Falls. So my new place, the Racketeer, it's in Post Falls. And Glenn Gather is his name, and he opened up a place called Stogie's last year. I want to say it's just September of 21. So about a month after we had our opening, which was August of 21. And I go there about once every 3 months just to check in, say hi, buy a cigar, hang out. We go to a couple of their events. You know, it's one of those things where, like you said, we're all on the same team. His clients are different than mine. We offer different things than he does.
Right.
I don't view him as a competitor or a threat. I view him as another part of our industry, and I hope he succeeds.
Right on. That's the way it should be. So tell me about the Racketeer Lounge, man. I was looking on the website, and, man, it looks like an exciting place.
I wish I could show it to you guys. I apologize. I'm broadcasting from home tonight, but our Instagram in particular and our Facebook, those are where it's at. I have a social media guy who does very fine work on that. We're very proud of it. It's a small space. It's only about 800 square feet, but we really maximize it. We have a full liquor bar and cocktails. I've got about 150 different premium cigars that we offer, and the inventory always changes. I like to focus really heavily on the boutique stuff. Basically, if you see it on the internet, odds are good I'm not carrying it. And I'm really proud of that. So you're going to walk in and you're going to see a lot of things that you've never had before. And I'm going to be able to tell you about all of it, which is a lot of fun. We also cater to the pipers. We're one of only 2 places in about a 300-mile radius up here that cater to the pipe smokers. And that's a big part of my business. So we carry that torch too. That's really neat. Obviously, as the name would suggest, and as my garb would suggest, you know, we've taken on the persona because it fits us and it suits us. And it's a tight-knit group that is continuing to grow. We have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Well, you know, nobody can carry that moniker, man.
Right.
You got it. Run with it. What the hell? That's a marketing gold mine.
Why not, right?
Yeah, I mean, you already got kicked in the nuts. Might as well do that.
Well, you guys will dig this too. So my attorney, and who's now a good family friend, he actually made for me a big old framed deal where all of the charges are on it, along with my mugshot from when they processed me. And I put it right there, front and center on the main wall in there. So everybody who walks in sees the Racketeer. And that was it. I said, I promised myself and God, I said, if I survive all of this and I build another place, I'm calling it the Racketeer, because fuck them.
Yeah.
Yes. Hey, I'm glad you said it, because I'm thinking just the fact that you established the Racketeer Lounge is just a big old fuck you to the state. I love it.
It's so sweet. It galls them so much. I actually, when I went to apply for the liquor license, I kept my name, the Bulldog, until I got the liquor license attached. And then I dialed them back up and said, oh, yeah, by the way, I want to change that to the Racketeer. And they were like, what? I was like, you heard me.
Oh, I love it.
I had to wait. I had to wait till I knew I had the license in my hands.
Right. Man, that's just...
Oh, that's
anyways,
amazing.
In a nutshell, that's kind of the story there. You know, it's been a long couple of years, but we're in a good place. Business is decent. I'm very grateful for that, and there's a lot of growth yet to happen. I'm really grateful for that too. There's a lot of blue sky. We have definitely not tapped the market yet, not even close, and just trying to have a good time and provide a place for a lot of other people to have a good time. You know?
Yeah,
days can be really long. The days can be really hard, but I love what I do, so I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, I really love that you focus on the boutique cigars and some of the ones that you don't normally see. There are just so many boutique cigars on the market that people don't know about that are fantastic smokes. So I love seeing proprietors really focus on those types of cigars.
There's a plethora of fantastic options, and it really gives me great joy to bring those to the market. A lot of smaller cigar makers that make just fantastic sticks at a great price point. So it's a lot of fun seeking those out, finding those. I also find, and everybody's experience is different, of course, but I find that for our size, we get taken care of a little bit better by a lot of the smaller guys. We're small, they're small. The relationship building is a lot quicker, a lot easier, and they care about.
They appreciate your business.
Yes, and I appreciate them.
Yep.
Yeah, it works out well.
What?
So actually, I'll tell you a fun fact.
Oh, go ahead.
I don't even carry Arturo Fuente. I don't.
Oh, damn. Okay.
Yeah. Successfully, I do not carry Arturo Fuente. Now, that's not to throw shade on Fuente. Obviously, we all know they're one of the greats. But I determined 3 years ago I wanted to stop carrying them for a number of reasons. But that's how far down the rabbit hole we've gone, and we've successfully been able to do it.
All right.
Well, so no Rocky Patels, no Davidoff, basically nothing from Altadis, nothing from General Cigar, so on and so forth. I don't touch any of it.
That's amazing, man. Yeah, I like that. That's boutique focus. That's awesome. At this point in time right now, what do you have in your humidor that would be, if the three of us were to walk in there and say, hey, man, show us something we've never seen, what are you pulling?
Ooh. Well, first, of course, I would ask you what you all like, but based on what you're smoking, that helps me out a little bit. So for you, with the Oscar cigar, I would probably put the Last Barbarian from Sinistro in your hands.
Okay. Yeah, we've had some Sinistro stuff.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I've had some Sinistro stuff, so yeah, I'm familiar with their line. So yeah, I like where you're going with this.
Jeremy Wolfson, he does excellent work. I'm a fan of his, and he's a friend of mine. That dude, I don't know where he finds the energy. He always has his hands in something. I admire that guy. But yeah, I would say the Last Barbarian, because ring gauge wise, I think it's a 56. Lengthwise, you're a 5.5, I think. So it's not quite as big as what you would go for, but profile wise, I think you'd dig it.
Okay.
For you who's smoking the Davidoff, the non-Maduro Davidoff, is that a typical profile you go for?
Nicaraguan is my go-to leaf. I enjoy the Nicaraguan leaf.
I would. Do you have a preferred size preference, a vitola preference?
I like Toros and Robustos.
Toros and Robustos. Okay, I would put PIO Churchill. Actually, I would probably put the Churchill in front of you from PIO. They only make 200 boxes a month. It's the San Andreas Mexican wrapper and Nicaraguan filler and binder. It's absolutely fantastic.
Oh, man,
that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. A very, very light, free draw. They smoke themselves in a beautiful white ash.
Yes.
I'm on a first name basis with the owner, Alberto Medina. He's hilarious. Actually, the first time I met him, he basically told me that he said, "Smoke my cigars; they're the best you'll ever smoke, and you're going to want to buy some." And I said, "I like your style. I'll try it." Yeah. So, and then for you with the with the Maduro Churchill, I would probably put. What would I put in your hands? A number of different things I could do.
Well, to give you some info, Paul, Maduro's not typically my go-to. This happens to be one that is, and I prefer Lancero as my Vitola.
Lancero man. I myself am a Lancero man. Then I would put in front of you. Well, there's a couple different ones I might put in front of you, but at first glance, I would probably put the Lorania, the classic Lorania Lancero from Espinosa Cigars.
Okay. I've smoked them, but it's been a while, and yeah, I'd be interested in trying that one, definitely.
Yeah, highly recommend. Big fan of Espinosa stuff.
That's awesome, man.
I'm a Lancero man myself. In fact, I have, out of about 150 sticks that I carry right now, about 20 of them are Lanceros.
You sound like the owner of this shop. Our Lancero lane is 36 and counting.
Nice. I love it. Mwah. Tell me, keep it up. It's a Vitola that just doesn't get the love it deserves. It's such an elegant Vitola.
I agree.
And, I will die on that hill.
And I will die on that hill with you because it's the bane of the American market is they want value for their money, and they just don't realize that larger ring gauge, when you're a flavor chaser, that larger ring gauge is not your friend.
Yep. Yeah, it's the war of the perception of value, right? It's perceived value, not necessarily real value. And I get it because if you've got a Lancero on the one side and you have a Toro or 6x60 on the other, and the Toro costs the same, or maybe even a little less, because sometimes that happens. Mm-hmm. Most guys are going to look at that and go, "Well, I'm getting more stick for my buck." But like those of us who know, well, I look at that and I go, "Well, I'm after a culinary experience."
Agreed.
It doesn't have to be a 2-hour smoke. I just want it to be a good smoke.
Agreed entirely. And
by the way, if the background noise gets too loud, let me know and I'll go shush them.
Nah,
we're
fine,
good,
man.
brother.
You're fine. It's funny because when you look at that, the Lancero market, there you go back to past episodes where we've told stories about smoking Lanceros. I fell into the victim of the first time I smoked mine. I sucked one down in 31 minutes, and when I was educated, the experience was so overwhelming in the flavor notes and the profiles and the retrohale, and it was just one of those where it's like, come on. If every manufacturer put out a Lancero or a Panatella, that would be what I'd smoke all the time. There would be no other size because it's perfect. It gives me the flavor that I want. It gives me the profile that I want. And I'm sure you could agree, if smoked properly, you're going to get a good 90 minutes out of it.
Oh, yes. I would say that Lanceros are sippers.
Yes.
So
they are.
Yep. Smoking a Lancero.
Greg likes... I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's worth slowing down for.
Yeah, Greg likes to hearken to the story. I'll give you two parts of it. Pre-Greg, when I first came into this shop, and the proprietor was giving me the tour. Now, you have to understand about our proprietor, he's a master salesman.
He's a crack dealer, let's be frank.
Oh, pretty much. I walk in there, and he's like, well, what do you like? Because I'm looking at the humidor. It's like, it's a pretty significant humidor. And I told him about a couple of things that I like, and then he went to, how do you feel about Lanceros? And I always tell the joke. I looked at him and said, well, I pee standing up, so probably not. He says, oh, no, let's have some fun. So he gives me a free Lancero and say, we're going to have some fun. I want you to smoke this. And he's like, you see how much flavor you're getting out of that as compared to the larger ring gauges? I'm like, oh, yeah, I can dig this. I like it. And then one year, I did on vacation Operation Cuban Liberation.
Thank you.
I smuggled, what was it, about probably $8,500 in Cuban cigars out of Jamaica. Mm-hmm. And one of the boxes, or a couple of the boxes, were Cohiba Lanceros. Mm-hmm. So Greg's kicking back on my balcony, and we're smoking the Cohiba Lancero. And I did what he did the first time. I blew straight through it. I think it was how long? Like less than 30 minutes?
Less than 30 minutes.
Yeah. And
Oh, man.
And I was
Oh,
going
man.
I was going to get another one. He looked at me and says, No. Before you get another one, this one, go ahead, Greg. You can
I told
continue.
him, because I had learned this lesson in this shop in public. And I said, no, go get that same cigar, because I'm halfway through my Lancero and he's done with his. I'm like, get that same cigar and slowly smoke it. Try to pull 90 minutes out of it. And
It was
Did it
fantastic.
work?
Oh, yeah. It was great. And it was just like, I learned something new. I get it now. It's a sipping cigar.
it's like good,
I liken
tequila.
it, when I talk to it with my clients all the time, I liken it to just like anything else, like a fine wine or fine scotch or anything of that nature, where it's like you don't crack it open and down it. You sip it.
Yeah, it's all about the enjoyment with that particular line. And, you know, it's if you've caught any of the previous episodes, I'm hoarding a brand right now. And they don't make a Lancero in it. It's the Last Cigar by Caldwell. It's been discoed due to the fire. But they make what would we say, that's a Corona?
Yeah.
And it's just smaller ring gauge. It's incredible. And if you smoke it right, you get to experience that for an hour plus, and it's just fantastic.
Caldwell makes very fine stuff.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, they do. I'm
Yeah,
glad
we
that.
stumbled onto another brand that actually suffered from that fire you're referring to, Adventura.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
We found them at the trade show this year, and they released a line called the Queen, which was a Lancero, and it is one of the creamiest, most amazing, and it comes in a 10-pack, a bundle 10-pack, a beautifully packaged black bundle. I'm still hoarding like four bundles of them in my
Paul?
stash.
Paul,
Yeah,
do you ship?
I do. Yeah,
You and I are going to have to talk.
yes, sir. I can oblige you. They're definitely worth taking a good hard smoke on for sure. They're awesome.
Yeah, I got a couple of boxes of Adventura I picked up from Denver from the Rocky Mountain Cigar Festival, because I had never smoked at Adventura, and yeah, they are fantastic.
It's eye-opening.
Yeah.
Yep.
The
that
names of the
adventure.
owners escape me at the moment, but they were very sweet people when we got to meet them at the show, and you could tell that they had their heart, their soul, and their resources into the brand. And I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, Henderson is the fella's first name.
Henderson, thank you.
Yeah. He's one that we would love to talk to on this program, because
Most definitely.
what we all did is we all bought a box and then split the boxes between the three of us, so we all got
Oh, cool.
some of each box, and they're
Now, they had an awesome box, and I
Yeah.
keep going to this.
And
The one,
bands.
the
The
ship.
bands were really cool too.
Have you
Yeah.
seen the box that's the ship?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
That I will say this though, for those of us retailers who work with cabinets and not a walk-in humidor, those things are a bitch to deal with.
Yeah.
The boxes are all of their boxes are gorgeous.
Oh,
The
yeah.
ship one was hilarious and cool, but we actually ended up having to pass on that particular cigar because I couldn't figure out a way to put it in my cabinets. I don't have a walk-in; I have cabinets, so that was kind of a bummer. But what you gonna do?
Yeah.
now. If I can ask, you were at the trade show this year.
Yes, sir.
What because as we were talking before the recording started, it was our first year. Did you find anything that was particularly unique and really got you excited when you were there?
Yes. There was one brand that they had a banner on their booth that said small ring gauges only. And I immediately went, I got to check these guys out. And because it's late and I'm tired and this is actually ridiculous because I have all the paperwork on my desk. I'm actually set to make an order from them this week, and I, for the life of me, can't even remember the damn name of the brand. But I'm gonna Google it and see if I can pull it up, because you guys got to know about Rojas. I think I want to say Rojas. Rojas. It's gonna drive me nuts. I'm gonna look it up. They excited me. Everything they made was great. They made 2 or 3 different cigars too that they called it part of their like Taco Tuesday line or their taco truck line or something. They called it. And one of the ones was called Carnitas, and one of the ones was called like something else.
Oh,
And those were
yeah. I
fantastic.
saw that. What?
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think it was Rojas.
Rojas, yeah. They had a covered wagon as their booth Part
Yes.
of the booth.
Yes, I remember them.
Yeah. Their core line was particularly of interest to me. And again, all small ring gauges. They do not sell a cigar that is bigger than 52 ring gauge. And that to me was just incredible. It's a bold move, especially in the American market, whereas we've talked about, the American market, a lot of times everybody thinks bigger is better. So I was really impressed with just their balls to do that. And it didn't hurt that all of the cigars were damn good too. So I'm actually set to make a pretty good order from them this next week.
Oh, nice.
They excited me the most.
You got one of those too. No worries.
Hey, guys, I'm still doing the thing, so shush, please.
Sorry.
It sounds like, gentlemen, that a trip to North Idaho is going to be happening after the snow goes away.
I'm with you on that.
that.
Yeah, we could do that.
Yep.
I would love to play host.
As long as we don't drive. Miss Daisy says she's not making that drive from here to Idaho again.
It's a
Okay,
pretty
I'll tell you
short
what.
flight.
You guys can fly. I'll drive because there is too damn much equipment to try and take on an airplane.
Well, I'll drive with you, so that works for me.
Yeah. Because I
Well,
can
if you
only.
guys do decide to fly, it's pretty easy because you can fly into the Spokane International Airport. Spokane is a town, about 500,000 people, just right on the other side of the border in
Okay.
Washington. And they got a decent international airport. So getting flights to and from like Sacramento or really anywhere in California to Spokane, that's easy peasy.
Oh, that's perfect.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I'm just on the other side of it. So Post Falls is from the airport 45 minutes on the highway.
Nice.
Yeah, that's easy.
Yeah.
We could probably swing it flying. We could just have to leave these behind
Yeah,
and figure out a way to do it. But we could do it.
it could be done.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Oh, I know people with equipment. That's easy enough too. You need equipment. I know people with equipment. In fact, we do a podcast in my lounge every Tuesday. My media guy and my website guy, they do a podcast. It's whiskey and marketing. And this the second season, they've decided to do it in my lounge, and they've let me come on and be a part of it, which has been a lot of fun. So equipment we've got.
oh, nice.
That'd be
awesome.
easy.
I like that.
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah, I've seen some of the pictures because I just joined the Facebook and I saw pictures of the lounge, and yeah, it's incredible what you guys are doing out there.
Thank
I
you.
mean, you're really utilizing the small space, and it looks like a constant party.
It's a good time.
Yeah,
I'm very grateful to say that I get to marry my passion and my profession together. We work really hard at it, and so I'm grateful to be where we're at.
Yeah.
And excited and ambitious to go even further with it. I got some pretty big ideas. We'll see how we do.
Yeah, I've got no problem supporting a fellow libertarian.
Hell yeah. Right on. So how did you guys, I meant to ask earlier,
Oh, by all means.
how did you guys get into doing this Beyond the Humidor? How long, you've been at it for how long now?
3 years.
Because I've been following it for a little bit, 3 years.
3
So
years.
I picked up with you guys about 6 months ago then.
So,
yeah.
to cut a long story short, in 2018, Scott, myself, and a few others of the Tobacco Republic crowd did the Big Smoke in Vegas. Larry, as our resident host and merch guy, set us up with some really cool Loomis Cigar Cartel shirts. And wearing those shirts on the event day, we were getting people coming up going, "Where's Loomis? What's this cigar group? What are you guys all about?" And a buddy of Scott's and ours, and Scott were flying. The rest of us poor schmucks were driving home. And so they were discussing about turning it into a club. Well, long story short, it became a podcast. And in September of 2019,
Yeah.
we started our first episode and have been running strong ever since.
Cool.
And just last year was
All
our...
right.
That's
Hey,
okay.
come on, guys. Dogs, children. Sorry.
Understand. Last year was our first foray with PCA, and they sent us an email and said, "Hey, we love what you guys are doing, and we'd love to guest on your show." And we're like, "Great!" And we had help me,
I can't remember the guy's name from
me neither.
PCA.
We had one of the fellows that's the one of the
Let's see. Scott Pierce, Glenn Loop.
nope.
Ryan.
Ryan Prada was who we emailed, but the
Yes.
guest was
Okay.
somebody, Jeff Habersky.
Yes.
Josh Shabursky.
Josh Shabursky.
He was
He's
our
also been
guest,
so-
and
he's doing stellar work on the legal side of things. these
Yeah, he
days.
is.
yes.
Stellar work, absolutely stellar.
And so they joined us for an episode, and we said, "Hey guys, we love doing this, and we'd love to join the group and be part of the media that can cover and help you guys out." And graciously, we were accepted.
Yeah, initially we reached out. One of our fellow hosts reached out to PCA. I think we were about 3 or 4 episodes in, and we were turned down because we were, a young podcast, small,
And didn't know crap, frankly.
Oh, we knew nothing. And we were still trying to get our feet wet and figure out how the show was going to work in the format. So we were real young at it. So they took a pass, and it was just like, oh, well, we're just going to keep doing what we're doing. And it was really gratifying for them to come to us at that point and say, hey, we love what you're doing. We've heard, your later podcast, and we want you to be a part of PCA. And we just ran with it.
Yeah. And
That's
it's
kind
been
of a badge of honor right there. Then that's like you have arrived.
Yes.
yeah. And it's
How'd you guys like it this year? Your first one. Now, is this your first one for for all you guys? Was this your first one just like in general, or your first one as media? Like
First
if you
one
didn't- any-
ever.
First one, period.
Yeah,
Yeah.
first one ever.
No shit. Well, what'd you guys think?
Oh, it's off the hook.
that
man.
was amazing.
Loved it.
This is so much fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to next year. It was
I'm glad to hear that. I thought this year was really well done. I mean, it's ebbs and flows. This one was definitely, again, I think of the 5 I've been to, this one was top 2, and the only one that might be better was my first. But that's just because it was my first.
Yeah.
But they did a good job, and I'm actually I was really glad to see how slowly but surely they have worked hard to polish the event. Every year, I feel like they're trying to improve something. I mean, it's always easy to complain, and that's one thing that we as people are really good at is to complain about what other people are doing or not doing. But I would say that I see the folks at the PCA actively trying to improve every year, and I think they had a great show.
Yeah,
So I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, I heard some rumblings in the community, and I'm not naming names, who had criticisms about the show, but these were folks who were going for years, and they felt it was smaller or whatever the case may be, or they didn't like the format or the schedule. But for someone coming in at the first, for the first time, and being able to meet all the cigar manufacturers and see what they're up to. What was the one? I want to say Newman,
JC Newman.
JC Newman, the replica of their factory.
It was gorgeous. And
Yeah.
the Byron and the Atabey booth, the walkthrough on that, it was like, this is amazing. And it was amazing for me as, coming in as a media group, how open everybody was to I got 5 minutes, let's talk. I had been given the impression that, you're going as a media, most places are going to go, piss off, I'm busy. And it was the complete opposite of that.
Well, but we, at our ages and life experience too, I think helped us out a little bit.
Yeah.
Because we didn't force our way in on anybody. If you walk up to a booth and everybody in that booth is writing paper on orders, it's like, hey man, even if we knew who they were, we didn't end up talking to help me out, Cavalier.
Cavalier.
We didn't end up even talking to Cavalier, and we've got history with those guys but every time we walked by their booth, they were stacked 7 deep with people trying to buy cigars. Well, that's what you're there for, man. We don't want to get in your way. So, we were very,
Respectful.
Low key.
Cognizant of what what they're trying to do as a business. So we just kind of, no worries. We'll catch you later, or we may not catch you this trip. So it worked out real well, I think, for us. And
Yeah, it did.
And we had a great time. It was, we met some cool people and saw some unique products and accessories as well as cigars. And that to me was as big a deal as the cigars, is seeing all the cool shit now that comes along with the cigar and pipe industry.
I mean, look at the our 2 or 3 episodes ago when we had the Chikar group. That's a neat little accessory that I frankly love mine.
Yeah. In fact, Greg and I, are you using your cigar?
No, it won't fit on this one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Greg and I use these because they were good enough to send us a few, and it's just a fantastic accessory. You know, when I first saw it, I was like, oh, it's kind of neat. I can dig it. And then when I actually started using it in practice, I'm like, I really like this.
Mm-hmm.
Cigar guys definitely tend to be gadget guys. That's something I've learned over the years. It's if you can come up with a fun and useful gadget, you're gonna sell some.
Well, and not even so much the gadget. You know, there's a certain percentage of us. Like, I can go to my desk side drawer right now at my shop, and if there are less than 25 lighters. I'm serious. I mean, I have lighters and shit where, like, I'll be looking for something in a drawer at the house or looking for something at the shop, and I'm like, oh shit, I haven't seen this lighter in 2 years, you know. And I'm
meanwhile, I carried the same one for 3 years. I've been carrying the same one for 3 years.
Well, I did that for a long time, and then it just kind of, I don't know, man. It just like it ballooned. Something went haywire, and I got I got 12 million.
I ain't knocking it. I mean, hey, you always have a lighter on hand.
Yeah, my first lighter was a Colibri, and I, spent like probably about $100 on it, and it was that was my lighter. I carried around all the time, and then eventually, I think that was the one I lost on my way to Hong Kong. Because I had it in my jacket, so I'm walking through SFO, going through security, and, they weren't being dicks about it. They just he says, you can't carry that on the plane. You can ship it back or whatever. And I'm like, well, I'm already through, and my flight's taking off in a few, so just keep it. It is what it is.
Hey, lighters and TSA is a touchy subject, my friend.
Yeah, Greg and I got fleeced coming back from Rocky Mountain in 19. There was like 9 guys in our group from this lounge, and I'm pretty sure one of them went through with a loaded handgun. But, he and I, man, we get patted down by TSA. They strip my bag. They have cigars all over the belt. And, what's this lighter? I'm like, dude, it's brand new. It doesn't even have fluid in it.
Mine was the same way.
And, oh, God. Well, you can take it. You can walk 1 3/4 miles down and wait in line and mail it. I'm like, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
One thing I've noticed with regards to TSA is that getting into, so for the trade show, for example, getting into Vegas, that's pretty easy. They don't bother you. I can bring a lot of my stuff, my accessories and things that I like to carry going in.
Yeah.
Coming out, I have had nothing but bad luck. And part of me thinks that those sons of bitches, they know when we're all leaving the trade show, and they know that we've got all the goodies.
Oh yeah, there's 7 TSA guys running an eBay store.
Time yet where they have not taken something from me. Going out of Vegas to go home after the trade show.
Yeah, nothing like seeing your lighter on Facebook Marketplace, Las Vegas, and shit. Huh? Like that son of a bitch.
Oh man,
I'm sure you remember Balmoral. So
I do. They were one of my favorites. Actually, we carried them for. Actually, one of my favorite reps was Zev Kamenetsky when he was repping them, and one of my favorite brands. We repped them hard. Great brand.
Yeah,
great brand.
They gave me a lighter that you could only get if you were a rep. No fuel, no nothing, brand new in the box, and the only way you're getting one of these is if you're a Balmoral employee, and I got one. The sons of bitches at TSA took it because it was empty.
Dude. That's a collector's item now.
Yeah, I'm just like, what's wrong with you people?
Well, I mean, to be in their defense, you don't wake up and go work for the government if you have talent. I mean, really, do we know anybody with real prospects or talent who gets up in the morning and goes, "I'm going to go work for the government"? Like,
true.
So they gotta get there somehow, I guess.
And then you got the TSA guys. There's several at SAG International here that they were either former cops or they washed out of being a cop because they just act like it. I'm like, dude, you guys are nobodies. You got the sheriffs backing you up, so nice try.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
For all of you in the law enforcement community that are listening to our program, we love you guys and appreciate what you do.
There's a difference between law enforcement and TSA. There's two different things.
Yeah, please, please acknowledge that distinction. Those of you that wear a badge and carry a gun for a living.
Yeah. By the way, that was Greg Perry who made
Yeah,
that comment.
the ball-headed white guy.
Thanks.
Not
Thanks,
the
guys.
white guy with a goatee.
TA112.
Yeah.
Something like that. And we always get a good chuckle about that in our lounge because, I mean, as we know, like, you know, cigars and pipes tends to attract a lot of the armed forces and law enforcement and that kind of thing, particularly of the retired variety.
Yeah.
And myself being, you know, as we've mentioned before, a pretty hardcore libertarian, we don't always get along with law enforcement. You know, and that's a discussion for another time. But we laugh about it because I'm a Presbyterian anarchist. It's basically what I am. But if you understand what the term is, then you'll understand that term. I'm not a Portlandia throw Molotov cocktails through Starbucks windows anarchist. That's not anarchy. That's a bunch of authoritarians doing violence.
Yeah,
anarchy is anarchy just means no rulers. It means cooperation, voluntary action, free trade. That's what that means in an academic sense. So everybody laughs at me. They go, "Yeah, Paul, he's the Presbyterian anarchist who has a lounge full of cops and Catholics." And it's true. Those my two biggest demographics in there are retired cops and Catholics, and we get along great. It's a good time.
Sounds like we'll fit in just fine, Scott.
Oh yeah, I love it.
But that's the beauty of it, right? The cigars and pipes are the great equalizer. You could talk about damn near anything and still get along and have a great time.
So you need to come up with some swag for the shop to sell at the shop. That's a travel humidor that looks like a Bible.
Oh, I like that. I might have to run with that one. We do actually have some swag. Now, it's not a travel humidor, but I actually just recently commissioned Zycar cutters with my logo on them, and they look sharp. And crystal ashtrays. And those look sharp, too. I don't have any on me right now. They're all at the shop. Otherwise, I'd show you. But kids. So we do have some swag, but I like where your head's at there. The Bible travel humidor.
I'm thinking
If I make you rich, you get 10%.
I'm thinking the guitar suitcase, like a mini guitar suitcase.
I'm thinking Paul needs to talk to the guys at Benchmark.
Oh yeah, did you see those guys out there? Benchmark. They made the wooden travel humidors that were at PCA.
I must have missed those.
They were on the back wall by the meal period area.
Dude, you got to look those guys up, Paul. They're out of Texas. All handmade.
Benchmark?
Yeah, Benchmark humidor, right? But
yeah, Benchmark humidors.
And off the hook, these things, man. And really cool guys. A couple retired military guys. Yeah, super neat.
They might be ones to commission this custom idea for you.
Oh, I'm already very much attracted to these. Oh, yeah.
Right on.
Oh, man. All right. I'm going to put this one in my back pocket.
There we go.
Good deal. Good deal.
Thanks for the referral.
Of course. That's kind of our vision, so to speak. Was talking about this with another podcast group last night is, you know, the small, whether it be a small podcast, small cigar shop, whatever, if we're not helping each other, we're not going anywhere.
And then
we take enough pressure from everybody else. I agree 100%. I mean, everybody else already wants our industry to die.
Yeah.
If we don't help each other out, then
yeah, you know, we saw some great, unique products, some great boutique cigars. So, you know, and it's, you know, let's talk about that. Let's get more people, you know, that are interested in cigars like we are. You know, that's who's listening to us, right? That's who's coming into your shop. The more people that know about these products, these cigars, these whatever, you know, it's a win-win for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't understand the whole fighting, you know. And we've talked about this on podcasts before. You know, I came from the restaurant and bar industry as a younger man, and the craft beer industry, now the rise of the craft alcohol industry, you can see it in marketing, especially locally where we are. where breweries act like they're competing against each other. You know, our IPA is better than their IPA. Dude, shut the fuck up.
Dude, the
Just
brewing industry is
brew your shit, sell your shit, promote your shit. The more people that are successful, the better it is for your industry. I don't understand that.
It's a human nature, I suppose, in some ways, right?
I guess.
Yeah, but you're talking about a product that is so varied, and this is what I can appreciate about the wine industry. In fact, I went wine tasting last weekend with Tidy Wife, and
How many cases?
just one.
Oh, I'm impressed.
Rookie.
Yeah. But you know, they will turn you on to another winery. If their wine's not quite in your wheelhouse, just say, hey, you know what? I'm a red guy. And they're like, oh, if you want reds, and they'll pull the map out and say, all right, you want to go to these folks here, they make a fantastic red. These folks over here make great port. And they'll actually send you to other wineries, and you'll go to winery and say, hey, oh yeah, Chet over at XYZ Winery told me that you have a pretty good red. And like, oh yeah, we know them. They're great people. Now check this out.
Yeah,
you know, you need
cool.
more of that. But I think the craft beer industry is a little younger. So they're thinking that, you know, if I send someone over to another craft beer distiller or a craft beer maker, then I'm taking money out of my pocket.
Yeah, and that's just, you know, that's just a dumb way of thinking.
It's shitty, you know.
And you know, I've been smoking cigars 30 years now, and I like how this industry operates. You know, by and large, it's pretty friendly from you know, manufacturer to manufacturer, from retailer to retailer. You know, it's a pretty decent group of people.
Yeah.
I would say this. When I got in 2014, I thought that the industry would all push in the same direction all the time. I just kind of had this idea that, well, we're all in this together and we're pretty niche. So I was surprised, though, at the level of infighting there was for a few years. And I won't go super into detail, but it got a little cutthroat at times. And but I will say that once a number of companies left PCA, a lot of that has stopped, and I'm really glad to see that. The companies who remain and the people who remain, which is a fair amount of the industry still, all coalesced together and kind of got on the same team again, and that was really nice. You know, we had some of the bigger guys go, again, General and Altadis, and I think Davidoff was a part of that, and Drew Estate was a part of that, and a few others. And they all left because they were upset that the PCA was pushing so hard for the brick and mortar, and these companies thought the PCA was doing that at the expense of internet. And that was kind of what caused that schism. And that schism took place either in 19 or 20. It was 2019 or 2020. And when that happened, I thought to myself, first off, good riddance. And secondly, it's about damn time.
Yeah, no kidding.
Show up at the trade show and they dominate, and there was a lot of bad blood. I'm happy now. I'm happy with where PCA is at and where the industry as a whole, now that it kind of has done this a little bit, and those of us who are over here push in the same direction and are on the same team, and there's a lot more friendliness going on now, and that's a great thing.
Yeah, I can truly appreciate that. Even when we started out in podcasting, when we knew absolutely nothing, you know, for a very, very short time, we thought it was a competition. And as we started doing it more and more and started running into people and actually talking to other podcasts, it's like, well, hey, let's collaborate together. Hey, you want to be a guest on my show? Hey, let's talk about it. And we have one of the ones, how about that cigar with Matt and Garrett, those are two fantastic guys, and we finally got to meet them in person over at PCA. And they've been on our show. I've been a guest on their show, and you know, it's great for that. It's great camaraderie. It's great to see. It's a lot of fun. We're all, we're all in this together. We're all here to, share our experience and cigars with the consumer, because that's what the consumer wants to hear. They want to hear honest feedback about cigars, and they want the feeling of being in a shop.
I mean, ultimately, the entire industry is built around community, camaraderie, and a little bit of escapism, if you will. So
absolutely,
it needs to be a positive experience for us, of course, but for the consumer first and foremost, because without them, there is no us. You know, things that in my 9 years of business, almost 9 years of business, that I've had to learn because I'm a bit of a cynic by trade, and I've been working on that. The last 3 years have definitely, God's been working on me pretty hard, and I've been getting better at looking at the bright side of everything. Sure. But it's become more and more important to me to provide a positive experience to everybody around me, and I think if we do that, then nothing but good can come of it.
Yeah, one of the things I'm really happy about seeing is, like you say, a lot of the infighting has kind of died down, and some of those folks who were the competitive or just plain jerks have fallen by the wayside. I told a story on a podcast once where there was a cigar shop right by the apartment where I was living at the time, and I thought, oh, this is great. You know, I can go pick up some cigars and kick back at the shop. That's wonderful. So I go in there to buy a couple of cigars, and they had like a couple of couches and a TV, and I'm going to go sit down there, like, oh, well, you can't sit there. This is actually private. It's like they were treating it like their clubhouse. And it was like, it really turned me off. And this is after I'd spent about maybe $100-150 in the shop. So it was
like,
pretty.
That's enough to get you a seat, man.
Yeah,
you would think,
like,
yeah.
You know what?
Yeah.
I have no interest in coming here ever again. And about a year or two later, I think it was about a year, they closed down.
I wonder why.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you know, I got a question for you, Paul. Let's take Paul the retailer out of the question for a minute.
Okay.
When you want to sit down and enjoy a cigar on your own or with some friends and relax, what are some of your go-to choices?
Oh, man. Let's see. Well, it's going to be a Lancero. Pretty much whatever I'm smoking, it's going to be a Lancero.
Amen.
Even if I go to like home base, if I don't want to make a decision and I know that no matter what, it's going to smoke through whatever I'm doing, whether I'm sitting down or I'm hiking the creek on my back five, it would be the Ambassador from Padron. It's part of their everyday series. That's what I call it. Their 1,000 series, but they don't give it a 1,000 number. They call it the Ambassador. It's the Lancero from Padron. So that's that's home base. But I also am a huge fan of the Veiled Prophet from a company called Hiram & Solomon. They're actually run by the Masons. The owners are Masons, Freemasons, who saw that there weren't any cigars specifically for Masons, and so they started the company, and the cigars are fantastic. We have a high number of Masons in my area, so I cater to them with those cigars, and the cigars are fantastic too. So the Veiled Prophet, it comes in a Lancero. It's like a $25 stick. It's absurdly priced. I brought it in just for me, and then they ended up selling. So I was like, well, I guess I get to keep bringing these in.
Win-win.
JRE, which is the kind of now this is not me saying this is what they are, but I feel like the market treats JRE this way, kind of like the redheaded stepchild to CLE, even though they're a lot of the same people and a lot of the same family and all the same heritage. JRE's stuff is fantastic. They make the Aladino series. The Maduro, of course, is my favorite. I am a Maduro guy, guilty as charged. But their Cameroon is exquisite as well, also in a Lancero.
Yep.
So those would be, and then the Espinosa that I recommended earlier, definitely a favorite of that. And then I guess while I'm prattling off a few more, one that really, really pleasantly surprised me, not that I thought it was going to be bad, but I just wasn't sure how it would hit me, was the Honor Among Thieves. By Statesboro, by Jeremy Wolfson.
Yep.
Absolutely fantastic stick. Not a Lancero. It's a box press, like a fat Robusto. I want to say it's a 54 by 5 1/4, I think. Really good stick.
Paul, have you had Oscar's 2012, the Barber Pole Lancero?
I have not. I will admit, the only stuff I've had by Oscar is his Leaf series stuff. We sell the Maduro like it's going out of style at my place. I mean, it sells like water. It's fantastic.
All right. Well, maybe we can work out a trade. I'll send you up a couple of the 2012 Barber Pole Lanceros. It's a pretty good stick, man.
I'm in, man. Let's do it.
All right.
Yeah, that always excites me. Trading cigars. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes, please. Let's do it.
Cool.
Yeah. That's when I start to get real nerdy.
Well,
like, I'll give you 3 of these for 2 of these and 1 over there.
All right, man.
Yeah.
We'll throw in 2 Hot Wheels at a Star Wars action figure.
Yeah, now we're talking. Now we're talking.
There we go. Got him. I love it. Oh,
Yeah.
shit.
Well,
So,
hey,
I
man,
guess
go ahead.
Oh,
I'm
go
sorry.
ahead.
No, you.
Oh, I was just gonna say I was gonna ask the same question. Now I know I asked sort of a similar question when you guys had asked me what I might recommend, but what are your guys' go-tos? Like, what's home base?
Go ahead,
Go
Larry.
ahead, Larry.
Well, I've been probably smoking the longest out of all of us, and I was stuck in one particular brand for a long time, and I enjoyed them, and I didn't want to get off of that. And finally, the proprietor here pried me into some different stuff. If I will know, I gotta have a stick and relax, and I don't want to have to worry about it. I don't want to be surprised by something. I want to know what the profile is. Then I'm probably going to get a Camacho.
Camacho. Which Camacho?
Well, it depends kind of on what I'm doing. If it's something in the morning, then I'm probably going to go something lighter because I'm a coffee guy, and I like coffee flavor over cigar flavor in the morning. So probably a Connecticut. If it's at the end of the day after dinner, then I'm probably gonna go towards their Maduros.
Their triple Maduro was solid work, but I will say of everything they did, I actually had the most respect for the Criollo. I thought that was a really well done Criollo.
No, it was absolutely that's a fantastic stick. It's funny though, man, because I mean I can find some stuff. I smoke a lot of Christophs. I like the Christoph product, and I've smoked through just about everything of Oscar's. So yeah,
Have you had the Vengeance from Christoph?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
That's my favorite, and it's not even close. That's a good stick.
Have you had the new guardrail yet?
I have not. In fact, I'm going to have to call Kevin up and tell him WTF, Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. Why have I not heard about
we
this?
got the same problem
I should
here.
be the first to know.
All right. Well, we may have to. I may have to throw one of those in the goodie bag for you
When we get them.
More trading.
Yes.
But yeah, and then we've run into some stuff that I'm smoking quite a few Cavaliers. Just lots of stuff, man. The Feathered Serpent, and I don't know how you feel about Candelas.
There are not many good ones out there. When you find a good one, it's the two best that I've come across in the last couple of years are again, his name's going to come up, so forgive me, but Sinistro is Mr. Candela.
Oh no, absolutely,
yeah.
Candela I've smoked,
No doubt.
and then Apostate, their Candela is absolutely solid.
No, that's the Feathered Serpent.
Yep.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Those are probably the two best Candelas, and it's funny, because it's hard to get somebody to try a Candela, even if they're a pretty serious cigar smoker. Because back in the day, like I said,
the best way to do it is to show them a barber pole. What's interesting is people are way more likely to try it if they see it as a barber pole, which most of which turn out to be not great. But you're right, it's a tough sell. But once you get them on it,
once you find a good one too, it's a great stick. So
that's where that Oscar barber pole comes into.
The 2012.
The 2012. That's where that comes in.
I can't wait to try that.
But I know that was kind of a crappy long answer to your question, but because I'm all over the map. But
I mean, it's like, hey, what is your favorite thing out of the 200 things you love? That's not exactly
and it's hard, because I smoked Gurkhas. I mean, nothing but Gurkhas for years, for probably 7-8 years. But yeah, but think back though, Paul. This is back, this is back 16, 17 years ago. That was a different cigar.
This is true. I got to see the evolution of Gurkha, and unfortunately, it wasn't a good one for them. They're trying hard now. I will give them credit for this. They are trying hard to repair what has become a tattered reputation in the industry, especially for us behind the counter, us as retailers.
Yeah.
Because they definitely really, they were not retailer friendly. They were not brick and mortar friendly. And then and a lot of their lines and a lot of their cigars suffered as well as they tried to create more and more and more lines. And at one point, I remember seeing the catalog, and they had like 70 different lines, and 50 of them at least were stuff I'd never light up. And then the rest of them, it was just like, yeah, if it's good, it's overpriced. Now they're working hard to fix that, I think, but they have a ways to go.
No, that's true. That's true. And so it's, you know, it's been an evolution. Like I said, I've been smoking a long time, and I smoke every day. So I kind of just steer the ship all over now, you know. So there's my answer.
Mr. Robinson?
Well, for me, around 2015, I got into this Cuban phase because I was traveling abroad a lot, like twice, you know, a year, before I bought the, as Greg affectionately calls it, the motor ghetto. And I fell in love with the Partagas Series D number 4. And every time I went out of the country, I'd pick up a couple of boxes, and that was my go-to. But now, of course, with them pricing Cuban cigars on the Hong Kong, based on the Hong Kong market, ridiculous. It's just like, it's been fun, kids, but I can't do this anymore. So domestically speaking, my go-to is the Illusion 88. That is my favorite.
Nice. That's a nice pick.
Yeah, I love the 88. And then also the Barber Pole, the 2012, and the Aladino Corojo Reserva.
Oh, I have that on the shelf right now.
Yeah, it is fantastic.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Oh, good picks, sir.
Yeah.
Very good picks.
And then I discovered Apostate, the honeybee.
The Deseret.
The Deseret, yes. The Deseret is incredible.
Yeah. And
they, when did you smoke that? There's a reason why I'm asking, but when did you smoke that?
PCA, as a matter of fact.
At PCA?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh.
And it actually goes further than that, because we did a show, and Apostate had no idea we were doing this. I was sent 3. I was sent a Leahona, a Initiatory, and a Deseret.
That's right.
I brought them onto the show, and I'm like, hey, Larry smoked this one, Scott smoked this one, I'm going to smoke this one. And we pretty much made Brandon's year, because we all fell in love with the one we smoked. And Scott's first one was the Initiatory.
Yes.
And Larry had the Deseret, because I thought those were I thought the Deseret was their strong one, and it turns out it's not. But that's a line that it falls into my category of top ones too, is the Deseret.
Yeah, that's a great stick.
The reason I asked was because they actually, I got my first set of samples from them in February. And I came to them via a good friend of mine, Joe Fabian, who is a rep for Laudisi Distribution Company. And Joe, when he goes down to Salt Lake City, he always stops in at the Hive. And then he goes, dude, Joe says this to me. He goes, you're going to love these guys at the Hive. They feel the same way you feel about Mormons. And they've been fighting the same kind of fight you've been fighting. I was like, oh, hell yeah, hook me up. So then some samples come my way in February, and they were super duper Dominican. Like I could taste it in line, and it was like, this is nothing but Dominican, and not throw shade on it. If you like Dominican, man, you're gonna be a fan. But I was not super jazzed about it. Then Brandon came up to visit me in August, I think it was, this year. And it turns out that at the trade show, when you guys got yours, or I think that's when you guys got a chance to smoke them, they had reblended already. And it immensely better, more complex, more interesting, and it didn't taste just like an 858 from Arturo Fuente. So I was really impressed with their ability to identify what was going on there, and then immediately go back to the drawing board, reblend, and make 3-4 much better cigars.
Yeah, I think for me, there's a couple. Obviously, the Last Czar has become my ridiculous addiction, and it's 22 boxes and counting in my personal humidor.
Very nice.
It's really hard, because if you ask me what my favorite Lancero is, that's not going to happen. If it's a Lancero, chances are I like it. But Cameroon and Corojo are 2 of my favorite leaves. So you know, the Cameroon Lancero by Aladino is a go-to. And then there's another one which, when we send you some samples, I'll slip one in. It's a company you may or may not have heard of. It's called Don Benino. And
No, that's a new one to me.
it's a cigar that, it's a funny story, actually. The cigar was brought in here originally. I sampled a couple. It was where I learned to smoke a Lancero. And then they disappeared because there was a distribution license issue. And then they came back, and I would be buying the shop owners every one the shop had and cheating the proprietor out of his enjoyment, which was hilarious. So I'll make sure we get some of those sent to you because they're just phenomenal sticks. But
I would like that.
you know, the white label Cavalier Lancero is one of my go-tos. It's one I buy a box every time I see Sebastian. But yeah, to choose a favorite is so difficult because I smoke, much like both of these two, I smoke every day, and I've got 3,000 sticks in my inventory at home, so my range is all over the map.
Well, so that's why I use the term home base, not necessarily favorite, but like what's home base? You know, when you know you like you said earlier, you know you need a stick, and regardless of whether you're sitting or walking or doing something, you just know it's going to be exactly what you want it to be every time.
Yeah,
home base.
The
What's your home
Deseret,
base?
the Deseret is typically one that I go to. The Pichardo Corojo is one that I go to.
Oh,
And-
Pichardo. That's
Yes.
good stuff.
Yep.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah,
Ed Trevino is a nut job, but we love him.
that's my man.
Dude, I just found out a couple weeks ago that Crown Heads and Luciano and Pichardo are not working together on distribution anymore.
Correct. Yep.
So that'll be interesting to see how that all filters out because I order all of that through Crown Heads, and now I gotta figure out who my rep is for the other side.
Get a hold of Ed.
Ed.
Ed's the head of sales for the entire United States now for
Yeah.
Luciano.
Okay, I'll look him up. Thank you.
And if you don't have his information, we can get it to you.
Actually, yeah, if you don't mind emailing it to me, I'd be much obliged.
You got it.
How about Gorilla? What's your home base?
Oh gosh, I was actually thinking about this while they were all answering. I'd say, kind of like tonight, if I'm not sure what I want, because I'm like my dad said, he's all over the place. I'm all over the place, but for kind of the opposite reason. I had the benefit of, and I've said this on the show before, of hanging around these guys, growing up with my dad. I kind of knew what brands existed, just kind of in the back of my head. But I'd say the three that if I don't know what I want to smoke, and I know I want to smoke that I'll enjoy, it's the 3 vintage series from Rocky Patel, the 7-year, I think it's 7, 10, and 12.
Correct.
Yep.
Those three, depending on what I'm feeling, whether I want the lighter Connecticut or the little bit darker stuff, those three in particular are kind of where I got started and what I'll kind of float back to if I'm not sure what I want to smoke. But kind of like these guys said, the 2012 series by Oscar is one. Apostate is starting to get into that rotation as well, and Camacho too.
Don't forget the Christoph, the Cameroon Christophs.
Oh,
that
the
come out.
Cameroon Christophs, yeah.
Oh.
Don't remind me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say anything by Rocky Patel's kind of home base, but those three specifically.
So then that begs the question, because at the beginning of this, you said you were lighting up an old favorite. How's it holding up?
Oh, fantastic. It's smooth, creamy, light. I haven't eaten dinner yet tonight, so that was probably a good call. Yeah, as enjoyable as it was before, maybe even a little more now that I've kind of explored other stuff. So
And,
Nice.
and, you know, it comes to mind, you know, talking about old favorites, it comes to mind of a brand that it's disappeared from this lounge, and I don't know really what its purveyor is around the country anymore, but I do miss the Jesus Fuego lines that we used to carry because they were all solid, good quality cigars at a good price point, and they were just enjoyable. And I don't even know what Jesus is doing nowadays.
Yeah, I forgot about those.
Yeah,
And
the
then-
Origin lines.
Yep.
See,
And
I
then-
don't even remember those.
Oh, you
yeah,
missed out.
Yeah, that was some
Yeah.
solid stuff. Well, and then you know, the red car, the blue car.
Oh, Via Havana.
Via Havana. Did you ever have any Via Havanas, Paul?
The VA Habanas by Sinistro.
No, the Via Havana by Cuba Rica. Steve Adib owned that company.
Can't say I ever had the pleasure. No.
Okay, I know there are still some in my humidor. I'll part with some and send them to you.
Are they still in production?
No, the company's gone.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah, because they were freaking stellar.
Well,
They
if you're
had a-
willing to part with one, I'd be happy to try.
You got it. I'll send you one.
You know, this is exciting. I can't wait to see what I'm gonna put together for you guys.
All right.
I got some ideas, man. I got some ideas already. This is gonna be fun.
Well,
Awesome.
and you know, as a purveyor, you may see this more and more. It's cigars is a hobby that it's unique because you get lines that come and go, unfortunately, and then much like Via Havana or Gran Habano put out a line called the B Liga, which was George Rico's personal cigar that he smoked, which was a Lancero. You know, they're gone. The only place they exist anymore that I know of is My Humidor and another buddy's of My Humidor for both Via Havana and the Mi Liga. And I guess that's one of the sad things about our industry is that you get attached to something and then something happens and it goes away. And then you do what I do and you start hoarding them.
It's amazing how quickly it can happen too. I mean, I've only been in the biz for 9 years, and the amount of change that I've seen is a lot. And I've only been in it for 9 years. I mean, by most accounts, I'm a rookie still. So, you know, I got in when I was 25. That's when I took over the shop. I'm 34 now, and I'm still just the kid compared to a lot of the folks in the industry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that way too, and I've been doing it a lot longer.
Right.
You know, you look at some of these guys, especially at PCA, man. You look at some of these guys that been smoking cigars since you know, since Washington was president, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, man.
Yeah.
But it's cool though, because you get a lot of you know, just history.
Yeah.
The industry. You know, Greg said something earlier about the some of the displays, and was it J.C. Newman's display? But I don't know. Scott and I spent some time just kind of looking. They had all that stuff under glass out there in front of their booth, and they had boxes in there from the 1880s and 1890s. Packaging stuff, and it's just like, holy shit.
Yeah,
look at
that
this.
was wild.
You know, it's like, man, this is so freaking cool.
I think we have some pictures of those. I'll get them over to you so you can flash them up here when we do the show.
Yeah, because
it goes
I mean,
live.
there was just some, you know, some of the history from some of that stuff is just so freaking cool, man.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, and you know, as much as you two love when I talk about this, it brings to mind too, there's a shop in London that has every cigar that Winston Churchill had when he died. They have them all. They're under glass. They're humidified. They're still smokable, and they're never going to sell them. They're sitting on them, and that history is amazing.
Yeah,
because those are cigars from back from, you know, the Victorian era.
no, that's amazing, man.
Yeah, it is. That is wild.
Something that I do appreciate about the industry is the appreciation for heritage that
Yes.
our industry has.
Mm-hmm.
I like that a lot.
Yep. Yeah, that's
I'm a very
important, man.
traditionally minded guy. Family is very important. Tradition is very important. And so naturally, I think a lot of us who feel that way gravitate towards pipes and cigars because both those industries have a rich history and deep mores to our heritage. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, guys, any final thoughts?
Paul, I just want to say thank you, man, for taking time and hanging out with us. And, you know, thank you for putting up the good fight, because that's a hell of a
Amen.
story, man. And that could have very easily gone way shitty. And I'm glad to see you came out the other side, you know, not necessarily unscathed, but, you know, ready to fight the good fight. And wish you all the success in the world. And we want to do whatever we can to promote you and you know, help move everything forward for all of us.
I appreciate you guys letting me come on. It's been a consummate pleasure to talk cigars and everything in between with you guys. And, you know, like my father-in-law always says, he goes, can't let the bastards keep you down. So, you know, all I know to do is fight. You know, this is what I know to do. So happy to keep fighting.
Right on.
I sincerely hope that we can get you cats up here at some point. It's it's a wonderful place to come visit. Well, it's a wonderful place to live, but I try not to tell people that anymore because everybody's
Yeah, there's
here.
too many of us up there screwing up the end. I get it,
Love to have
man.
you guys come visit.
Definitely. And please, Paul, feel free. You have an open invitation. You want to talk about something new? You want to do another show? Just reach out, man. We'd love to have you on as many times as you want to.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Appreciate that, fellas. And hit me up after this, and we'll put together some tradesies because that'll be some fun. That'll be some fun.
Okay, I just want to say I appreciate you. I love the story, man. And as Larry said, I love the fact that you came out on the other end and then you just gave them a good socket to me with establishing a Racketeer.
That's amazing.
That's incredible. I love it, man. So, yeah,
Thanks, fellas.
and again, truly appreciate you being a guest on the show. We have been so looking forward to this. You know, after we talked to Kevin at PCA, it's, you know, we're like, we got to get this, we got to make this happen. We got to get this rolling. We got to get this set up because I got to hear more about this story because this is just wild.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you guys got to meet Kevin. He's a good man.
He
I'm very
is.
fond of that guy, so that's cool. Shout out to Kevin.
Absolutely.
Good stuff. So good cigars and a great man.
And he's got a hell of a motor ghetto, too.
Oh, yeah, he does. Yeah, he showed me pictures of his. Quite nice.
And as tradition goes, Paul, the final thought is yours.
Oh, the final thought is mine.
Absolutely.
I don't have anything all that awesome to say. I'm just going to keep it simple and easy. Thank you very much, fellas. Like I said, it's been a constant pleasure. I hope you're at the tail end of a long week. I hope that it gets a lot nicer. Stay smoky.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
No doubt. Hey, Camera Gorilla, take us home. Well,
Cheers, fellas.
Cheers. Like I always say, it looks like my scotch glass is empty and the cigar's down to the nub, so I think it's about that time. I want to thank our guest, especially Paul Banducci of the Racketeer Cigar Lounge. I want to thank Larry, Greg, and the gorilla on the monitor there. And to our guest, to our listeners and watchers, thank you for listening and watching. Check us out at LumaCigarCartel.com. Like and share us on Facebook. Check us out on Instagram. Don't be a stranger. Let us know you're out there. I'm Scott Robinson, and from all of us here at Beyond the Humidor, we look forward to chatting with you on the next episode. But until then, as Paul says, stay smoky. And as I say, stay healthy and safe. And good smoke, good drink, and good life.
Amen.